So we finally got a trailer for Planet Zoo. We all knew this game was coming, and we all knew it was gonna have aviaries and aquariums. Last year I created a layout for Keystone Zoo, which will appear in my upcoming series. I do not like that video anymore. It's very outdated and changed some things, and more importantly, the game didn't work, so I had to use still images. But I will make it in this game very soon as it comes out. So I wanted to give out 195 of the animals I want to see, because 5 of them were already showcased in the trailer, and this will be different. I'll just be saying things without a script, like my old reviews. So, let's go. Number 1, the short-beaked echidna. I prefer the eastern long-beaked, but they're only kept in one institution, whereas the southern is found in all sorts. It would be the only other monitoring mutat besides the platypus, which I hope returns. Number 2, the Virginia opossum, one of the most common animals in North America, and it would be a representative of a marsupial outside of Australia, which I think would be 2 things that it would need to have. Number 3, any tree kangaroo species. Could be the Matchies, the Lumsolds, or this one. I think it was the Dorias that I put up, but any will do. We need one in the game. Number 4, the Mountain Cuscus. Our main mascot series character is a cuscus, and I would like to add them in the game. Plus, we need an Australian possum representative, and this is the most common held outside of Australia. Number 5, the greater bilby. We need a bandicoot representation, and this would be good. Plus, we don't have bunnies in Australia. I mean, we do, but we mainly focus on the eastern bilby, and this could be a neat cultural thing. Number 6, the eastern quoll. This was reintroduced to mainland Australia, and I think that'd be an important thing to tell in this game about reintroduction. Plus, they have 2 different variants, which is why I picked them over the tiger quoll. Number 7, fat-tailed dunnart. We need a small exhibit marsupial, and I think this would be good, because when I think of small animals, a dunnart is one of the first things that comes to mind. Number 8, the lowland street tenrec. We need more representatives for Madagascar, and out of all the tenrec species, this is probably the most iconic and recognizable, so yeah, add it. Number 9, the Amazonian manatee. I just think it has a prettier coat than the West Indian one. So, actually, I think they're more common in captivity. Correct me if I'm wrong. Number 10, the rock hyrax. These last 3 were all closely related to the elephants and aardvarks we already have in the game. And these ones we need as you put them on a rocky surface. Number 11, the southern tamandua. This would be another neat contrast to the giant anteater, as it's smaller and more arboreal. Plus, it's commonly kept as an exotic pet, so that'd be neat. Number 12, the ground pangolin. This species isn't technically housed in zoos, but it is housed in zoo-like facilities. The only difference is there aren't any guests coming in. And we have the Chinese pangolin for Asia, so let's have an African pangolin. Number 13, the Javan mouse deer. These are actually very closely related to giraffes, and mouse deers are by far the smallest ungulate there is, so they need to be added for uniqueness sake. Number 14, the Kashmir musk deer. I think that its unique look, plus its cold adaptedness, could make for a very interesting habitat. Number 15, the Gerenuk. They're unique because they're possibly the only ungulates that commonly stand on their hind legs. And if we were to get one more antelope species between the dikers and the elands, I think this should be the one that gets added. Number 16, the marsh deer. In this spot I originally had the yak, but then I remembered, oh yeah, we don't have a deer from South America, so add the marsh deer. Number 17, the musk oxen, the largest member of the sheep family, and by far one of the most heavily requested. This could be a major boost to Arctic exhibits and be housed alongside reindeer. Number 18, the smallest rhino species of them all, the Sumatran, just like the brown pangolin, it is housed in the zoo-like captive population, just not in an actual zoo. And as their browsing species of rhino, which we currently don't have in the game. Number 19, the Peewee. They're very unique amongst ungulates in that they actually build nests. That would be neat to see in our exhibits. Number 20. Echo, the wild ancestor of the llama. I think it would be neat to have them alongside the llama to show the contrast between the wild ancestors and variants. Number 21, the African civet. Civets are a very common animal, and this is by far the most iconic of them all. Pretty large. You can see them when they're standing up on their hind legs in the grass, and could be housed in a woodland exhibit. Number 22, the narrow-striped mongoose, which isn't actually mongoose, but a unique family found in Madagascar. Adding once again to the Madagascar representation we need in the game. Oh, plus they're more unique in that they primarily eat insects, which could be neat for a carnivoran. 23, the Scottish wildcat. There are pretty much a small cat for every region besides Europe, so I think we should add it there. It was a tough choice between this and the fishing cat, but I went with this because it's ironically more basic of a pig and thus would be easier to implement. Number 24, the white-nosed coati. Coatis are very heavily requested, and I think the patterns on this one is nicer than the southern coati. I think that's what they're called. Yeah. Let's have them. Oh, and possible subspecies you could add is the Cozumel Island coati, please. Number 25, the sea otter. They're very unique habit that I don't think any other animal has. bus would be neat to see. Number 26, the crab-eating fox. The reason why I didn't include the fishing cat is because this one would fill a very similar role, and I picked it because we need a representation for the South American fox, which we don't have, which aren't true foxes, but their own family. So yeah, go with that. Number 27, the walrus. Pretty iconic animal. Not much needs to be said. The last pinniped group we need to see. Number 28, the American black bear. This could be housed in a wide variety of enclosures, from forests to wetlands to cold mountains to even deserts. They survive in a whole lot of places, and it's the last bear species we don't have in the game, so we need to see it to complete the set. Number 29, the Cyndasloloris, the only venomous primate out there in the world besides other lorises. And actually no, there are other wet-nosed primates in Asia, but this should be the loris representative. Speaking of which, here's the spectacled tarsier for number 30. They're the fully carnivorous primates, and bus would be added for that to be unique. Number 31, the eye. It's a very bizarre animal, yet it lives like a woodpecker despite being a lemur. This should be the last lemur species we add, because while I do like a lot of the others, we really are oversaturated with them, and this is the most unique, so this is the only one I'm most okay with. 32, the tamarin. South America is very underrepresented in the game, so we need to add a small monkey for representation, as we don't really have any very small ones, and these are the ones I see in Australian zoos where I live, so yeah, add them please. Number 33, any spider monkey species, doesn't matter which one, they have very unique habits, like they don't pick fur out, they hug to get the fleas out, because they don't have thumbs. I prefer them over the howler monkeys, because they're more unique. This would be pretty sweet to add in capuchins and sake. Number 34, the mantled geriza. We have a lot of African representatives, but the one thing we don't have is a regular-sized monkey, so please add by far the most iconic one, just so that it doesn't feel weird next to the other continents that have that. Number 35, the Gelada baboon, which isn't actually a baboon, but a close relative. They primarily eat grass, and Ethiopia has strict importation laws that say that any endemic animal can't be outsourced to anywhere else. So this could be the only representative, as they were put in zoos before that happened. Number 36, the mountain hare. We need at least one lagomorph, and this one has a unique gimmick where its fur changes depending on the season, which I would like to see. I don't even think the Arctic fox has that, I could be wrong. Number 37, the Hispaniolan Solenodon. Just like lagomorphs, we need an insectivoran representative, and they're by far the largest, would give representation to Hispaniola, and they're only housed in one zoo, so I think it would be neat to create more zoos with them. Number 39, the Vampire Bat. This one is probably the most obvious choice for a bat representative. They suck blood, which is unique for pretty much all animals, at least vertebrate ones. And we have two mega bats, so a micro bat would be neat. For 39, the Philippine tree shrew. Despite their name, they're not actually shrews, but their own distinctive family. And I feel like we should at least get one representative of this family in the game, because they're so unique, as they primarily eat nectar from flowers, which you don't really see in vertebrate mammals. Number 40, the Raquelli, or water rat. We have these guys pretty common in the wild here. They're one of the few species that actively eat cane toads by flipping them under bellies, so they can eat that and not get poisoned. They're pretty much our version of the otter, and if we were to get any rat in the game, I hope it's this one. Termites than actual mammals, so you can have a completely underground vivid box for them, where they live more like insects, their queens and soldiers. Number 42, the European hamster. We don't have hamsters in Australia because they're illegal, but they're a pretty common pet animal. The European hamster is the ancestor to all of them, but our current listed is critically endangered, so they should be added for conservation purposes. Number 42, the red and white flying squirrel. We should have a gliding animal in here somewhere, and this would be the best one. You can have an exhibit where you can walk through and they're gliding tree to tree. I think that'd be really cool to have. Number 44, the South African spring hare, a larger relative of Chihuahuas and This could be... I realize I'm saying eat a lot, but it's more like a kangaroo or wallaby than a traditional rodent, so it could create some nice contrast, especially in an African enclosure. Number 45, the red-fronted agouti. They play an important role in the Amazon by eating the hard-to-eat nuts and seeds and spreading them around the forest. They're related to the yucca berries and would go nicely with them in an enclosure. For 46, the final mammal we have here, and the cetacean representative, that being the harbor porpoise, which is unique, as they can survive in both freshwater and saltwater. I really wanted to have a river dolphin, but they're not kept in captivity, so I picked them so we can have the best of both worlds. Number 47, the crested tinamou. The only rat types we don't have in the game are tinamous, so we should add them to fill out our rat quota, because they're the only ones that can actually fly. So they would be redundant, like I don't know, other species that really are ostrich. Which isn't it's not related to them, it's actually Only one's found the silver cannon spear anymore. Number 50, the blue duck. We should have a New Zealand representative, and this seems like as good as any. We need a duck in the game for duck ponds, and I think this would be really cool to see. Number 52, the Guinea or Hawaiian goose. Goose are different from ducks, especially this one, which barely ever goes in the water or even flies. So we should add it for a more terrestrial waterfowl to stand out against the more aquatic ones we're going to add. Number 52, the Lady Amherst pheasant. Between this and the golden pheasant, I think its patterns are far prettier, so we should add it. Yeah, I know, I'm picking this based on very good judgment of character. Likewise, while the helmeted guinea fowl are more common in captivity, I personally think the whole trade one looks a lot better, so let's add it. Can you tell I'm not as big into animals as I was back when I was a kid? 54, the turkey. Like the we should switch from domesticated berries, as they are pretty massive birds. Like, you do not get how big they are. Let's add them. This to be a big bird. Doubtful. Known as an icon of the American West and East Coast. 55, the turtle fawn. Like other guinea fowl, this one primarily comes out at night, so let's add in our ears. Ones are a big part of the game as the main representatives of South America there, so let's add one to the game. Number 56, the Montezuma quail. Whales are common captive animals, and livestock, and even zoos. My part. Let's add this over the California whale. I just think it's prettier. 57, the Tongan magpie. Fiji is a very popular state. This is like the only animal I see from there we can add that's unique enough to warrant it. As magpies typically go in this like piling up a bunch of dirt and leaves, and plus it would be a very, very interesting sight to see in the prairie. Africa already has a lot of representatives, so I had to pick ones that are very unique to warrant their inclusion, and this one stands out a lot from the crane we currently have in the game. I think it's the large brown crane, so I think we're good enough to add it. Number 59, the Kagu. It is closely related to cranes and rails, but is part of its own family that dates back 50 million years ago. Plus, it would be a representative of New Caledonia, which we so far don't have. Number 60, the Cory Buster, the heaviest flying bird in the world. Not really much I could add to that. 61, the South Island Takahe, which despite looking like our purple swamp hens, is bigger and flightless, and would give another New Zealand representative. It's mainly these smaller island regions that need the representatives over the big continents. So that's what I mainly want to see in the game. This is a conservation success story, as they were recently reintroduced back from the zoos into the wild. It would give a lawn representative and another rail representative, actually our only rail representative. Number 63, the purple crown Toronto. It has a lot more varied colors than the great blue Toronto. It's not just one color, it's multiple, so it's the most stunning. Number 64, the giant koa. The home Madagascar representatives and the koalas are a unique family of birds found there, closer to winter cuckoos. This is by far the most common disease, so please add it. Number 65, the greater roadrunner. This should be added solely on the iconicity of this color from the Looney Tunes. It's a pretty staple of the American so please bring it. Number 66, a hummingbird species. I don't know which one I have on screen, but any would do, or make it like the butterflies or each one on the same model and animation behavior. Please do that. Number 67, the rarest waiting bird in the world, the black seabird. And we also need a shorebird representative that walks around and searching for insects. Do this one, please. Number 68, the Andean lapwing. We have a water-going shorebird, so we always have one that walks around in soil on drier lands. Plus, Patagonia representative, which we so far don't have. Do it. Ooh, we can even add it with the guanacos. Number 69, the bushtone curlew. This could either be a free roaming species or an exhibit species, as I've been to several institutions that have it like that. Number 70, the southern brown hornbill. We need a hornbill representative, and while this isn't a hornbill in the traditional sense, it is very unique in that it primarily eats snakes and lives on the ground and can live up to 80 years but waits 9 years to have a child. Yet it still fills the hornbill role we're currently looking for in the game. Number 71, the lilac-breasted roller. It is noteworthy for being the most photographed bird in the world, and they're called rollers because they roll around in the air to attract mates. That seems a bit dangerous, but I'm not a wild animal. Number 72, the rainbow deer. These are the deers we have in Australia, and okay, I don't see them personally, as I live in the southeastern Gold Coast, which is in southeastern Queensland, and they're found more in the tropical regions. But this could be neat. Number 73, the raisin cuckoo. Just like the 3 previous listed birds and the next one, they build their nests in the ground on riverbeds by digging, which could be neat to see. And unique, as other birds would usually use nests place at them in the game. This could be our Kingfisher representative. Number 75, the Pelican Woodpecker. This would be great to have in aviaries as they build nests for other birds who they're digging in tree trunks. That could be neat to see. Number 76, Pheasant-tailed Jacana. They walk on lily pads, which gives them the nickname of Jesus bird, as it looks like they're walking on lily. I don't think any other species does that. So, let's add them to our wetland exhibits, either as apiary birds or as habitat birds. Because I don't think they fly around that much. Number 77, the grebe. Any species of grebe will do. I don't know which species to pick, but I'm not very picky. We could use a grebe species. Number 78, the chinstrap penguin. I picked this over all of their penguin species because they're actually found in Antarctica, and this could be our only Antarctica representative, as while king penguins are found near Antarctica, they're not found on the continent itself. So we needed all the continents filled out, and this will do the trick. Number 79, the laughing gull. This one would be more so a free roaming species, as gulls aren't really housed in exhibits that much. But this would be different from other gulls in its distinctive laughing voice. Number 80, the rhinoceros auklet. I'm imagining a seabird aviary with this. Number 81, the shy albatross, which I think is the only albatross housed in captivity. Granted, not a lot, but still. We need at least one tube-nosed bird representative. And number 82, the tufted puffin. To complete out our seabird portfolio, this would be neat as they dive very, very deep. Much deeper than the other species I listed. Number 83, the white stork, which is mainly known for the myth that they carry babies to parents. I have it in here because of that. They have the iconicity that other storks just don't. Number 84, the Christmas Island pretty bird. There is one single institution that houses them, but they are such incredible, different, very special birds with their web and back to their seabirds, but they don't have oil on their wings to protect them from water. Maybe at the pit with the other seabirds, but don't, because they're known for bulging their foods. Number 85, the Malagasy vestigitis, possibly the largest bird from Madagascar. I think there is, at least in modern day. They would be an exhibit animal, unlike the other birds I've listed, or at least most of the birds I've listed, as they're primarily found on the ground. Number 86, the Australian pelican. These are the pelicans I see all the time, whether it be out in the wild or even in captivity at the zoo. They're ones be the most, and by the most I mean the only ones we see here. Number 87, the roseate spoonbill. We need pink, we need wading birds. This checks off 2 of those boxes. They're commonly housed in wetland habitats. Do it. Just do it. Number 88, the red-legged cormorant. They're a very unknown bird, but they're the prettiest of the cormorants by far. Cormorants are a very common bird species you regularly see out in the wild and in captivity, so please add them. Number 89, the agami heron. Just look at these birds. They're very, very pretty. We need a heron, and out of all of them, this is the one I'd pick. It gives us another South American representative. We need more blue in the roster. I don't see a downside to this. Number 90, the gray mouse bird. I don't know anything about them, but apparently mouse birds are their own family, so sure, give them a representative. Number 91, the Arabian sand grouse. They're unique in that they use their feathers to carry water to their chicks that are often miles away from it. And that would be a unique habit we could see in our zoos. Number 92, the Luzon bleeding heart duel. They use that big red heart to make it look like they're dying. And that would be an awesome thing to see in this movie. I mean, not really, but you know, a very special habit that they themselves have and no one else, as far as I'm aware. Please add it. Number 93, the pink pigeon. Mauritius used to be the home of the dodos, but they went extinct, and now these nearly did, but they're holding on there very barely. We should add them as a representative of both pigeons and Mauritius. Number 94, the Kia. Not only a South American New Zealand representative, but very unique among the parrots, as they are carnivorous and will hunt both shearwater chicks and even seal pups. Number 95, the orange-bellied parrot. Out of all the primarily ground-dwelling parrots, this is by far the most common in captivity. So it'd be neat to see them alongside more flying parrot species like the ones we'll get to later. Speaking of which, number 96, the cockatoo. They have a unique habit of making sticks inside hollow trees to attract mates. So let's add a cockatoo in the form of this one. Number 97, the Spix macaw. I could have had the more iconic scarlet one, but I chose this for the recognizability of them being the main stars of the movie Rio, and them going extinct and wild. Number 98, the Tony Frogmouth. They'd stand still to look like tree logs, so when something small comes up like a frog or a lizard, they snatch it up. Let's have them there. Number 99, we're almost there, the Hoatzin. Possibly the oldest bird we know of, with fossils dating back to over 60 million years ago. They have claws on their wings, which is characteristic of dinosaurs, so they stand out among the other birds you put in your aviary. relative to the extinct turtle breeds that once dominated the Americas millions of years ago. Number 101, the striated caracara. These are the most southerly bird of prey in the world, Falkland Islands, and they're also some of the most intelligent birds in the world, showing very good puzzle-solving skills on par with parrots and crows. Number 102, the burrowing owl. They're unique among owls in that they primarily live on the ground and come out during the day and basically go against everything an owl typically is. And they're a common sight among the American plains, and apparently in American zoos, from what I've heard. Number 103, the crowned eagle. This is possibly the prettiest eagle I've seen in my life, and also as a revolving example, as there once was a population on Madagascar, but they went extinct, and we have it back to there. Number 104. Representative, California Condor, and number 156 will primarily be on the flesh. You could possibly even put them in the same exhibit, as they both feed on carcasses and serve as great stories of conservation successes, going from small numbers to recovering to massive populations, or at least decently sized populations, would be important to tell. Number 107, the Bali starling. I know they're called llamas, but I prefer to call them starlings, with its beautiful blue eyes and its white feathers. I almost said fur there. Javan green magpie with its red feet and bill, with blue rump and green feathers all around it. You would never guess that this is supposed to be a magpie. From our 108th slot to our 109th slot, these are reliable. Just like South America, Australia needs some heavy representatives. And let's go with this. Possibly the most ground-adapted songbird out there, able to mimic any sound it hears, and possibly, well, it pretty much functions as our versions of pheasants and grouse found in the northern heavens. We're 110, the Regent bowerbird. Bowerbirds don't build fancy nests, but they do build fancy structures that would be a sight for sore eyes in the aviary. Number 111, the rainbow peta, another ground-adapted species, this one being a lot smaller than previously mentioned bird bowerbird. Number 112, South Island Pepeca, leaving Australia don't use food. This one had a relative that lived at the... Oh wait, I called it the South Island Pepeca. Sorry, this is the North Island Pepeca. The South Island one is far as well as it's relative. Number 13, the Clove-wired bird of paradise. very stunning, and I think this is the most stunning one of all. They're primarily found in the mountains, but have been brought into captivity, not as much as the Reggiana, but still pretty solid numbers all around. Number 114, the Hooded Platoon. This one would really belong to the aviary as they're the only poisonous bird out there. So definitely don't walk around with them or put them with anyone else. Number 115, the Maui Parrotfish. They're very small birds, and since we don't have a lovebird or a lovebird, this would fill the role of bars representing the island nation of Hawaii. Boy howdy, this is a long video. Number 116, the Armadillo Girdle Lizard, well known for grabbing a sail and rolling it to roll like an eel or pangolin, as shown here. Number 117, the Chinese Crocodile Lizard, which, fun fact, was actually discovered by a criminal of all people. Imagine how many more species that exist that we just don't know about because nobody wants to associate with the people who discovered them. Number 18, the Philippine Sailfin Lizard, which is unique in that it's one of only 2 species of lizard that can walk on water. Number 19, the Frillneck Lizard. Do I really need to explain this one? Number 120, the New Caledonian Giant Crested Gecko, the largest gecko in the world. Number 121, the Panther Chameleon, possibly one of the largest chameleons in the world, with this stunning pattern on it. Number 122, the Marine Iguana, which actually does have one captive representative in Africa of all places, but sure, at it as it's the only seagoing lizard out there. Number 23, the Cuban White Anole. Let's add in this stunning anole lizard. Number 124, the Lagomera giant lizard, which was rediscovered after presumably being extinct, and should have an exhibit tank for that alone. Number 125, the prehensile tailed skink, which is actually one of the largest skinks in the world, possibly even the largest, and would represent the Solomon Islands. Number 26, the golden taipan. I think this over the black and white taipan due to its more distinctive patterns, as we have a lot of white and black animals in the game. We don't really have a golden one, as far as I'm aware. Not counting yellowish tints. Number 27, the Lace Monitor. I think this opens more requested currency as they can climb trees, and we should see a tree climbing monitor lizard. Number 28, the European Gloss Lizard. Fun fact, when my mom was a kid, she mistake a legless lizard for a snake, and she'd run back home one day. We do some crazy stuff as a kid. She would know, because she raised me. Number 129, the Black Mamba, possibly the fastest snake in the world. I don't remember the exact speeds they reach, but I do know there was a book that I read that said that they were super fast. Number 130, the King Cobra. We don't actually have a cobra in the game, and while King Cobras are true cobras, they still fill that role, and they're unique in that they eat other snakes. Number 131, the tentacled snake, so because of its bizarre nose extensions, it should be added based on its appearance alone. Number 132, the yellow-bellied sea snake. If you're gonna have snakes in your roster, you might as well have at least one sea snake, as they're pretty cool rescue animals. And this one looks a lot prettier than the more dull-looking banded sea crates. Number 133, the squirrel python, the largest snake in Australia, and it's also called the Amazon python, where it's beautiful iridescent patterns. Number 34, the anti-terrapin. I saw they were only found in the Sundarbands, but turns out they're also found in Borneo. This would work as either a habitat animal or an exhibit animal, just like the next 4 species. Let's get a representative of shark-filled turtles. The alligator snake, by far the most exotic turtle that I've seen in zoos by far. Pretty much every captive place I've been to has them. Number 37, the tortoise, that expired. I think they should add it primarily as an exhibit animal, but if you wanted to have it as a habitat animal, you could. The last surviving member of its genus, dating all the way back to the dinosaurs, survives only in the islands of New Zealand, and would be another representative there. They're also unique for having a bird eye on the top of their head that's buried under its skin. Number 39, a returner from my Islands Escape Mode video that never came to fruition. By that I meant never came to fruition. The Cuban crocodile, unique not only because it primarily lives on land, but it's also the only crocodilian that is actively shown to pack hunting on land. This happened with crocodile. You have many animals back, but you know what's the one thing you don't have? Crocodilians. While the owl is more aquatic, the dwarf is far more unique. Number 41, the Chinese alligator. We already have the American alligator, might as well add the Chinese one to fill it out. They're much smaller and primarily feed on snails, so would be unique from the other crocodilians here. Number 42, the false gharial, unique from the gharial and unique from other crocodilians in that it's one of the few that doesn't show parental care. Number 43, Mexican burying Sicilian. Sicilians are more obscure members of the amphibian family that act more like worms or a combination of worms and snakes. So that'd be a unique thing to see in an exhibit. Number 44, the greater siren. An absolutely bizarre critter that it's a salamander that remains permanently in its new form, like the axolotl, but it has no back limbs, just forelimbs. Number 45, the Japanese giant salamander, possibly the only amphibian you could use as a habitat animal, and my great idea is to have a bunch of Japanese giant salamanders in the form of one of those rock-touching pools you traditionally see for stingrays, but I think it would suit them better because they don't have poisonous barbs. Number 146, the Iberian rib-newt, so called because their ribs jut out of them to protect them from predators. Number 147, the tomato frog. Despite not being closely related to the poison dart frogs, they also secrete venom poison from their skin. And more Madagascar representatives, particularly the Ventella frogs, would be neat to see. Number 148, the Holy Cross frog. They burrow underground and wait for the rains to come before they will make it again. That would be a very hard thing to pull off in the zoos, but would be so worth it to see. Number 149, the Suriname toad. It has a unique habit where a female would lay its eggs on the back of the male and grow inside of its skin to protect it from predators. Pretty gross, but cool. Number 50, the Darwin's frog, so called because it was discovered by Charles Darwin himself, and it lives similarly to the extinct gastro brooding frogs by swallowing its eggs whole, not eating for a couple of months, and letting its tadpoles grow inside of it and pop out like a xenomorph. Not really, it froze them up. Number 151, the Wallace's flying frog, possibly the only amphibian to my knowledge that glides. They're found in the rainforests of Southeast Asia and could add to our Southeast Asian sections a lot, at least for the exhibit parts. Number 152, we're almost there. The sea lamprey, which can survive in both freshwater and saltwater. These would be kept in aquarium tanks as they latch on to other fish to suck their blood, so it wouldn't be housed with anything else. 53, I think that's the epaulet shark, which is the only shark that can climb on land, granted only on wet damp reefs, or exposed during low tide, still. Number 154, the whale shark. It is well known from the movie Finding Dory as Destiny, the best friend of Ellen DeGeneres fish. Number 55, the tiger shark, an iconic fish, the largest carnivorous shark behind gray white, which isn't housed in captivity, but this one is, so that could compensate for that. Number 56, the sea-great hammerhead, another large shark that's kept in captivity. It should be added for their importance of eating rays and snakes that can overpopulate and decimate entire ecosystems. Number 57, the last living rogue screen species, a goldfish, represent the smaller sharks, and possibly even deep sea ones at that. Because a lot of goldfish do live as darkest depths in the ocean. I just picked the most generic one of them all. Number 160, the spotted eagle ray. I have actually seen these guys out in the wild very rarely, but still. And there was this one time I was walking over a weir, and my dog nearly pounced in to grab one like a polar bear. Number 161, the blue-spotted wood-sail stingray. A very common species in aquariums. Most likely due to their pretty packaging, it makes them a prize for collectors and zoos. Number 162, the chimera. These are very bizarre creatures, but they are kept in zoos, so there is precedent for them to be added with the new aquarium features. Number 163, the Congo biker. These species have been around since the dinosaurs and can breathe air, which is handy given their oxygen-low habitat. These add to our African sections. Number 164, the beluga sturgeon. Many people know about sturgeons, but they don't know that they're being reduced near extinction for their caviar. So, you should tell about that. Number 165. Number 167, the boatmen. They're very often sting important faces snakeheads, even though they're not closely related at all. And Planet Zoo should warn people about that so that they don't accidentally kill them by mistake. Number 168, the Asian arowana. Fish are unique in that they jump up to catch their prey on the leaf. I remember seeing a documentary that featured them long ago. Number 169, the African butterfly fish. These are another ancient fish species found in the Congo. They can leap out of the water but unlike the arowana, they do it to avoid predators. Number 170, the dragon moray. Just look at this. How could you pick the green moray or giant moray when this stunning thing is out there? It would go perfectly in the reefs. Number 171, the New Zealand longfinial. There was a documentary I watched about it long ago. I think it was river monsters, and it freaked the hell out of me because they would drag down dogs and even small children. They are frightening creatures. Number 172, possibly the McDonald's of the ocean, the Atlantic herring. I know they're a pretty basic choice, but they're a very important part of the food chain and should be represented in Planet Zoo. Number 173, the Siamese giant carp. They're unique from the invasive common carp because they bask like a whale. said, that's very hard to come by in fish species, and I would like to see them added in our freshwater aquariums. Number 175, the red-bellied piranha. What can I say? Number 174 and 5, the zebra pleco. These would be our catfish representatives, and would also represent the Amazon River with their armor plating like the extinct plecodons. I think that's how you call them. Yeah, it would harken back to those days. Number 176, the electric eel. This would be another South American representative, but instead would represent electricity in animals. It wouldn't be housed with anything else for obvious reasons, but please add them. I would love to see them. Number 177, the northern pike, or tiger musculid. These are very common game fish, and would be very neat to see. They would fill a niche that we so far don't have with the few fish we've seen in the trailer. And alongside them should be I think that's the Chinook salmon, or it's the sockeye salmon, I can't tell. It's hard to tell, but either species would be neat and tell of their great migrational patterns, and heck, maybe you could even be crazy and demented and show them traveling up the river eaten by grizzlies. Yeah, no, probably not. That's a bad idea. Number 179, the Mandarin goby. I could have picked any freshwater goby species, but I went with them because of their stunning patterns that would go nicely among the reef fish. Number 180, the bat-finned angelfish, so called because of its enormous fins. And that little blue spot is actually a poisonous fur that they use to defend themselves. I was wrong. There's one more non-discrete species, that being the cleaner wrasse at number 181. They would go nicely among the other fish species there, as they would help clean up the larger fish species, or even other animals like the hawksbill sea turtle or the harbor porpoise. I think they can go with the harbor porpoise. I'm not sure. Number 182, the Madagascar rainbow fish. Madagascar doesn't have a lot of fish species to work with, but this is one of the few that's very commonly kept in captivity. And it's not as stunning as our Australian ones, but it would fit nicely in possibly a small aquarium in a Madagascar section. Number 83, the leafy sea dragon. I don't care if the weedy sea dragon is more common. This one is far, far more stunning and magnificent. Though, just like seahorses, they carry their young on their tail. Mother lays the eggs. Granted, it's the male who does it, so they're pretty much the sole provider of the kids. Number 184, the greater blue-spotted mudskipper. This could probably actually work in the earlier game, as in the previous one. In fact, I have no idea why they didn't add a mudskipper in the previous game. We needed a fish. This is pretty much the one that works. Number 85, the Australian lungfish, our largest native freshwater fish, not counting their Lundy, which freshwater species technically, but can also survive in saltwater, and not counting the river sharks, as they're technically not true fish, as baleen fish are more closely related to us than they are to sharks. It's a complicated thing. Number 186, the embu pufferfish, the largest freshwater pufferfish species in the world. And yes, there are multiple freshwater pufferfish species out there. Pick them over the saltwater variety, as I think a freshwater species would stand out a lot more than the more traditional species people are familiar with. Number 187, the Murray cod. We need another large Australian fish species to go along with the Queensland lungfish. And there's actually a fishing resort near me that does have them. It's a cash or release thing, so it's okay. Even though I've seen them sold at fish markets despite being vulnerable, I do not know. Maybe they're captively kept in farms, I guess. Even more reason to add them to the game. Number 188, the deep sea lionfish. Lionfish are very much invasive in both the Mediterranean and Caribbean Sea. And while this species isn't, it could bring it up in its encyclopedia thing. Plus, I think it's more stunning than the larger red sunfish. Okay, this is the final stretch. Number 189, the Lord Howe Island stick insect, also known as the tree lobster. This would be my one new insect representative, as it is, to my knowledge, the biggest one in the world, only found on Lord Howe Island. It was thought to be extinct, but was rediscovered and brought into their old home after the rats left. Number 190, the Atlantic horseshoe crab, well known for having blue blood. There aren't actual crabs, but are instead closer related to spiders and scorpions. What is a crab species is number 91, the coconut crab, the only invertebrate you could have as a habitat animal. And I would have it as a habitat animal. Number 192, the Madagascar giant pill millipede. They aren't actually pill bugs, but instead are only representative from the millipede family. They are well known for rolling in balls and are a victim of island gigantism, where a species finds a new home with fewer predators and competitors and thus grows to a larger size. Number 193, the Portuguese man-of-war, also known as the blue bottle. They aren't actually one species, but a collective of multiple different jellyfish species forming his moving parts. That would make it stand out from every other animal species out there. Number 194, the giant cuttlefish. I thought about including a species of octopus or squid, but I went with this because it gives us the body plan of a squid with the extra tentacles, and it gives us the color-changing patterns of an octopus. And number 195, the crown of thorns starfish. I think this should be added because it is decimating reefs around the world and could serve as a good educator of that. Is how their natural predators are being overhunted and thus their population is not growing. And that was all the new species I want to see in the game. Of course, I don't think all of them are going to make it, but I do hope at least the vast majority of them do. Two of the ones I really wanted to see were the oceanic sunfish and the hawksbill sea turtle, and they appeared in the trailer. I'm glad to see that. And hey, if they're not added in the main game, they could be added as DLC, or heck, even by modders. I did remember compiling a mod of all favorite ones that I believe Great Lakes mod, but I did not have to create a collection in Nexus, so I just put them all in one mod, and despite saying that I didn't own them, it still got my copyright, which fair enough. But hey, if any of you are listening to that, please take some of my ideas and make them. This has been a lot. I really hope that once the game comes out, there's enough for me to work with to create my own Keystone Zoo layout and fix the earlier video's mistakes. My name's the writer Azra, and I'm riding off into the sunset. Oof, I'm exhausted.